Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are still in Labyrinthos and still trying to figure out what the Forum of Sharlayan is actually doing. And our next plan currently is to follow Erenville as he reports to someone closely related to the Forum, and eavesdrop on their conversation. So, Alvino, it feels wrong to spy on Erenville, helpful as he's been, but what other choice do we have? We had that last time. Full pots, warts and all. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Archeon. Come, we can still catch him. Smaller bridge here. We've fallen too far behind, and this damn mist won't help matters. I can still hear it. It seems the Stoller wishes to have a word with us. Yeah, right, Kryl is hearing voices. Hold a moment. I have an idea. If memory serves, that colossal wall-like structure is Logisticon Beta, one of Labyrinthos' climate control centers. It should have its own lift, with which one could access the upper and lower tiers. Aye, if I were an agent of a forum, it would make for a convenient meeting place. But even if we happen to find Erenville in the company of said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll past. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. If only Grant's vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Yeah, but up, my little toads. Goodness! Unaccustomed to transfiguration? Why not? It will wear off with the passage of time. I suggest you and your green companions hop along and catch up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. And what am I to do in the meantime? Wait here with me. In your current state of mind, you'd be as likely to leap into the jaws of a predator as you would learn anything of note. Which reminds me, there were creatures hereabouts. In that form, you are essentially defenseless. You have changed into a toad. You must remain transfigurated in order to progress with quest objectives. You will return from your transfigurated state if you move too far away. Look to your map for the transfiguration's area of effect. Speak with the Stoller to restore or prolong the transfiguration. I would have enjoyed being a toad for a little while, if only for a change of pace. But the Stoller's right, I'm too preoccupied with other matters. Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Alfie Toad and Ali Toad are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can leave your quest companions behind by entering a different area or speaking with them. The usual thing. And there is the pink marked area we need to. So, Alfie Toad and Ali Toad. No, you will not participate in a fate like this. Hey, big bro. Rabbit. 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 Alfie Toad attempts and fails to shake his head, but you nevertheless understand that he is telling you this is the wrong way. Rabbit. 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 Ali Toad turns to face the north. Perhaps he suggests you cross the bridge. Probably that bridge was what I was supposed to cross, yeah? Oh well.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Charlian scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Charlian was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full. While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
Good man. Good man. Our toad performance needs work, apparently. I'll have to pay more attention the next time I see one. I suppose we should have known a gleaner who specializes in animal procurement would not be so easily deceived. Yet he seemed inclined to put his trust in us all the same. More importantly, perhaps, we've discovered a new piece of a puzzle, this momentous duty the form agent mentioned. Charlian has been called into action, and the Telophorites declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fulfill, they deem it of sufficient import to disrupt all of Labyrinthos, not to mention ignore Eorzea's request for aid. If we happen to cross paths with Erenville again, I should like to thank him properly. A guide of sorts. What duty could drown the direct involvement of a forum and the commitment of all its resources? Judging by what we just heard, none of the Gleaners were offered any kind of explanation. At this point, it seems abundantly clear that we know nothing new by pressing them further. We should head back to Y'shtola and cry for the moment, see what they think of this. It's funny how normal the forest seems now. As a toad, it was all so much more ominous and threatening. Where's Kryl? Welcome back. I trust you found Erenville then? Interesting. I had a feeling you would learn something important, even if that something was simply a confirmation that no one knows much of anything. We should share this with Kryl, then discuss how we'd like to proceed. Assuming we'll find her back at the farm, but she was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps not the best decision in hindsight? Would you mind checking near those flowers she was so entranced by? The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case she decides to wander. Alright, the flowers. And there is Kryl.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead.
She?
Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Heidelin.
Thank you. Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you.
Who?
Take the flower. Walk free, for you are free to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first, so weak and tenuous it was. Once I took hold of that wispy thread, imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower.
Let's see what it helps.
Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious. We've done nothing wrong.
Master Fortuno, what business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian.
I see.
A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
What clandestine behavior?
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Grah! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Ah.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order. This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd.
Yeah, the century as the Crystal Exarch, as the leading politician of the Crystarium, brings experience with it.
From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Gagged? Incapable of speaking?
Yes. We are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Not turning into dictators when it becomes difficult.
Order! We will have order! Master Montaigne raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldesion are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlayan. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Okay. Ultimately, that went surprisingly quick. I apologize for the trouble I've caused you. I was pondering the significance of what I had just read as I left the restricted section and knocked over the security mammoth on my way out. I promise to be more vigilant next time. Thank the gods for a scholar like Montaigne. I absolutely loathe arguing in circles. My father may be right, but I'm still groping in the dark for answers. But I needed him to know that I would never stop searching. I owed that much to Arnwald and myself. You may encounter some raised eyebrows, but do continue to claim the student as your sponsor whenever the need arises. I believe in the guiding principles of the science, and I know my grandfather would have as well. Well, at least we've been allowed to remain in the city. And our endless investigations have not been in vain. We now know that this mysterious duty of theirs began with whatever the Forum discovered in the ethereal sea. With our freedom so sorely curtailed, however, we will struggle to learn aught more of substance here in Sharlayan. Alright, but I end this episode here and we continue next time. Until then, I'm Mace and don't get lost.